Okay, so here was my first attempt at forging a Damascus steel billet to forge a knife out of, and I had 12 layers. But I noticed when I started grinding this knife that there were sections inside that I couldn't tell that didn't really weld. You can see right there, there's a spot right there, so it's starting to delaminate as I grind it. It went up into the handle right there. You can see a spot on this other side. Right there's a pretty bad spot. There's a spot up right here. Down here, more delamination where it didn't weld. But I actually had a pretty good grind going on this blade once I got it shaped on the forge, and it's too bad that I lost it. So I'm gonna have to try and do it again. I'm gonna start all over and see what happens. So I've made a new billet. This one will be 9 layers, and instead of using mystery steel, I'm using some 5160 spring steel from a leaf spring off of a truck at work. Here's the leaf spring. Well, it was this leaf spring. I cut the end off of that, forged it down, and made some small plates out of it. I cut parts out of this saw blade. You can't use the teeth because they've got carbide in them. But this center part right here can be used. It's good high carbon steel. And the third steel is this bandsaw blade, which is without the teeth, about 1 inch wide. So I cut several pieces of that. And so I've prepared a piece of rebar to weld right onto there for my handle, and we'll get a handle welded on this billet and get it into the forge and see if I can get it to weld together. And I'll make sure my heat's a lot hotter this time, and we'll try to get it welded together and see what we can come up with. Go ahead and we'll get this handle welded on here if we can. And we'll get this billet into the forge. Woo, that's hot. if I hook up the ground. There's that. Weld into our billet. And let's get it in the forge and see what happens. Okay, so our billet's in the forge, and probably can't see it in there worth a hoot, but